So the Rugby Championship competition is just about to get underway, and a massive game for the South Africans off the bat up against Australia in Australia. And for this video, we are going to be trying our best to predict who the Springboks are going to have in their starting lineup and their reserves for this upcoming fixture. But it is myself and it is Rugbyitch. 2 games in Aussie. Not the best record for South Africa. Definitely not in Brisbane. But this squad that they've got, boy, they've got depth. What do you think of it, and do you think they can make it 2 from 2 down under?
Well, I think it's going to be tougher than what most people think. I think, like you said, the record in Australia isn't, I guess, in our favor, I guess, in recent times, because, we did have that 1 year where we played the Rugby Championship, all the games in Australia. That's due to COVID. But besides that, I think, I don't know, we just haven't been able to kind of tick or kind of be our normal selves when we're down under. So hopefully we can get the job done here, and particularly in Brisbane, like you say, because that's a place where Australia definitely like to step it up there. So I'd like to think going into this game, the Springboks will be favorites, but hey, Wallabies have that home advantage, so anything can happen, really.
You know what I'm enjoying, Tim? Normally for yourself you'd say they, but now Springboks, it's all we and our boys. Normally we get a little bit of impartialness about the box, but it's certainly back in them.
Like that's my team. That's like, it's like me and the Blues. Like it's just synergy.
They're your lads, aren't they? Your lads, of course, going to be going to Australia, which means we have to get 23 players onto the field. Of course, they have taken a 33-man squad down to Australia. So for yourself, front row, who have you gone with in this opening fixture?
Yeah, so for my front row, I've gone with the likes of Oxenche at the number 1. Then I've gone with Bongi Manomi at the number 2, and then Frans Mahaba at the number 3. So I've gone with a very strong front row there, something similar to kind of what I selected for that island fixtures that we had beforehand. And I think these 3 just are the automatic kind of starters, in my opinion. I think of, like, if you just select the best of the best, because again, you have to remember we don't have Stephen Kitsoff available still for selection. So when he comes back, I do think you probably overtake Oxenche, and then Oxenche would go back into the bomb squad. But for now, I think that's probably the best front row those Springboks have to offer. So yeah, that's my front row.
Alrighty, and for myself, I have gone with the exact same 3. The only change that could happen, I believe, is maybe Malcolm Marx does get the start, although it would seem a little bit risky with him just coming back from injury. But then at the same time, if you have an early Umbanambi injury, Malcolm Marx may actually end up with more minutes throughout this game. So I still feel like him coming off the bench is the better option, adds stability later on in the contest, and also can get those crucial turnovers right near the end of a game. So certainly stacked for talent in that front row department for the Springboks. But now we move on to the locking duo. For myself at number 4, this is where I have gone, of course, with Ebenezabeth. I don't think you can really put anyone else in that starting lineup as that number 4 other than that man. He's a phenomenal talent. He has a little bit of a rivalry with the Australians as well. We did see that, him and Alan Alaratoa. That was the time where we saw Ebenezabeth's eyes open more than I think we have ever seen for that man. He was fired up, and he will certainly be fired up for these games in Australia. But number 5, this is where I've gone with RG Snyman. Now, that is because of the injury of Franco Mostert. Not ideal for the South Africans, but RG Snyman, I mean, the fact that that man came on and off the field up against the Irish, I think it was 3 times throughout that game due to blood bins, due to the injury of Franco Mostert in the end, certainly going to add more offloads to the starting lineup for the Springboks side as well. But what about yourself? Is that another identical pairing that we've got here?
Yeah, pretty identical on that front. I've also gone with Ebenezabeth as well as RJ Snyman. So yeah, like you said, for the exact same reasons, I think those 2 are probably the best that we have in that department. And again, we only have selected 4 in total, so there's not a lot of choices to go about in that position. But yeah, like you said, Ebenezabeth, he's just a sure thing. You can't really go about him. And then RJ Snyman, I think he fills that role perfectly with Franco Mostert not available for selection. So yeah.
Righty, so now the loose forward trio. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting, because we will see a return from injury for Peter Steph du Toit. We will see a couple other players not included in this side after having some success throughout some of the earlier contests of the July internationals. So for yourself, number 6, I assume you've gone with the skipper here, Sia Khaleesi, but what about those other 2 spots that you've got to fill?
Yes, I have gone with Khaleesi at the number 6 spot. But then following that, I have gone with Peters at the Toids at the number 7 spot. I do think he'll be available for selection for round 1. So I have gone with him in the number 7 jersey. And then in the number 8, this is where I've gone with Quagga Smith. So I know it's kind of like the standard pick in this selection because there's not like a lot of 8s that are kind of available at the moment, really, for the Springboks, because we don't have Jasper Visa because he's still kind of unavailable through his suspension. I believe this will be the final, or at least like this and the next game will be his final 2 games, I believe, before he's available for selection. And then, of course, they haven't gone with Pepsi Butawezi in this, so he's not available in kind of in our thinking. And then you do have the likes of Evan Roos, who's also not available because he wasn't set to kind of go down under. So, yeah, really for me, I think it's kind of a straight-up choice here, and that's the reason why I've gone with Quagga Smith.
For myself, I have got Sia Khaleesi as my number 6. Number 7, the return of Peter Steph-Totoy. And then number 8, I have gone with Evan Ruiz. Just kidding, I learnt my lesson from my last video. He's not in the squad, just in case anyone didn't know. So
I didn't know that.
Quagga Smith is who I've got as my number 8. There were rumours of whether or not Evan Ruiz would return into the side later on in the competition, but by the sounds of it, he is getting his shoulder rearranged by a surgeon sometime very soon, so we might not see that man in a bot kit for a little while. But this loose forward trio, when you look at the skills that Quagga brings to that starting lineup, he's had a very mixed July international period. He had some really good moments, he had some rough ones, but I think that was also because he had quite a long layoff. He's come back from that now and starting to find a real bit of momentum. They've also got the option of Elric Lowe. Some people say maybe he could be thrown into the starting lineup as the number 8. And that was kind of something that Rassi said. He said that he's been brought in rather than Royce, and it's Elric Lowe's time to see what he can do in that green and gold kit. But now we move into the back line. Number 9 for myself, I have gone with Kobus Reinach. And number 10, Andre Pollard. Now, that 10 jersey is almost more contested now than it has ever been. And it's going to get worse if we see Damien Valimza return and they decide that he is going to be a fly half as well, rather than the fullback. We've seen it before. I don't know whether they should do it again. I feel like that was proved to be not the most effective tactic. But Andre Pollard, for the kicking and the stability at 10, that might be the option they go with. I guess a little bit of a surprise would be if they start Mani Lebok in this game, just because a lot of people aren't expecting it. But at the same time,
it could happen.
There's just a little part of me that thinks maybe they might just try up against the Australians. Seeing as Australia are quite a counter-attacking side and quite a attacking side in general, maybe you do need someone like Amani Libok to be able to help your attack progress forward throughout the 80 minutes. But Kobus Reinach, he's got pace. He doesn't quite cover as many positions as Grant Williams, which is why maybe that man, well, I've given it away. He's off my bench. Ooh. So, yeah, Kobus Reinach in my starting lineup.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I've also gone with Kobus Reinach there at the number 9 jersey. Just like you said, you know, he just gave you that pace. He has the experience. And again, I haven't seen much of him actually within the box for a while. So that's another reason why I kind of want to see him involved in this game. But yeah, from a number 10, like for yourself, I have gone with Andre Pollard here. It is one of those ones where like you can consider Money Lebok in this situation, but I think at the end of the day, it's the first kind of game of the Rugby Championship. So I think they want to go with at least their best team possible. So I think they will go with Andre here, but I would not be surprised if like the Bucks, if they were able to win that first game, then consider putting Manny as the 10 for the second one. I would not be surprised at all. But yeah, for now, I've gone with Reinach and Andre Pollard.
Right, I've just got to ask this question. Sasha Feinberg, Ungume Zulu, any chance of a starting 10 spot for that man in this game?
No. I think the way in which the Bucks have to think about it going forward is that you have Manny and Andre as the 10 options, and then you have Sasha, you got Damien, and then you have Willie, who are the options for the number 15 jersey. And then you do have Fassi there as well. But it's one of those where like I feel like they're going to make a decision sooner than later around the kind of future of Willie LaRue in terms of if they want to continue him for the next World Cup or not. And that could obviously have an impact on Fassi if he gets selected or not for the future. So I think that's kind of like what I've thought of. But for the meantime, I think you just got to stick with like 2 and 3. But again, Sasha is just so good that he can play in both positions, and same with Damien Williams does. So it's you got versatility. So that's the great thing about them.
He's had a lot of impact off the bench as well for Sasha Feinberg, Ungume Zulu. So there is more of a chance, I would say, for this game that they decide to maybe bring him off the bench rather than in the starting side. But now we move on to the centres. For yourself, number 12 and 13, it's got to be the dynamic duo, doesn't it? I know Lucanio played up against Portugal, but you're going with the tried and trusty already? What is it, the most capped? Or they're in the top three for the most capped?
It is now the most capped combination. Yeah, because they surpassed, it was Lucanio and Tim Delande for a while, but I think there was another, I think it was... you're putting me on the spot here. I saw this stat recently, of most minutes played by a centre duo.
Tell you what, we're gonna have it as the trivia question, ladies.
Yeah, actually, let us know in the comments, guys, because we can't think of this right on the spot, but I know for certain it's of course Tim Delande and Jesse Cleo who have the most minutes now. It's just more about who's the second and third. I believe it was Lucanio and Tim Delande as the third. But I think there's someone in the middle, unless I'm wrong there. But let us know in the comments, guys. But for my case, however, I have gone with Damien Delande as number 12. I just think he's the sure thing, really. Again, if you wanted to, you could go with Andre Stesen, but you got to go with Damien Delande. He's just a battering ram, and he never lets you down, really. But for this number 13 jersey, this is actually where I have gone with Lucanio. I've actually made the bold switch here. I have made the bold switch. We could have gone with the exact same team, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a switch here, kind of switch up things, and I'm gonna go with Lucanio. I think it's something which I think Lassie will consider as well, just because from my experience with Lucanio, he's always played very well against the Wallabies, and I remember a lot of the times back in the previous years where he's actually shined against the Wallabies, down under. So it's another reason why I thought of Lucanio and how he kind of would be used to kind of the environment and kind of just be back to his best. So I want to say the combination again. So that's another reason why. So yeah, Damien Delande and Lucanio.
Was it Australia or New Zealand that he did that round the back flick pass a few years ago?
It was New Zealand. Yeah. It was New Zealand. Yeah. So he passed it off to I believe Kirtley in that one. So yeah, it was.
Because that was the year that he was.
You're thinking about the one in. You're thinking about. Well, he did it. He's done it twice now. So that's the thing. I'm thinking about the one in South Africa, but yes, that one was also against New Zealand. So. Yeah, that was the one where I'm trying to think, he went past, I think it was Reiko in that scenario, and then Jordy mistackled him. Anyway, but yeah, he just sold the All Blacks in that move. But yeah, good times.
Is that, what do you mean, good times?
Good times. Good times.
No, but of course, that was around that time where Lucanio was just considered the out-and-out 13 for the Springboks.
He was the world's best player for that year. But he got robbed. That's the way I look at it. There's years which the World Rugby have to look at themselves. There were players like Buffelli, who should have won World Player of the Year, I believe, one year. He was awesome. He probably is the most. He got snubbed because he wasn't even part of the top 4 actually. I believe for that selection for that 1 year. I think because they chose Krevy, Hooper, Dupont, and Itoje for that year, I believe. But man. Buffelli was a different level that year, so it's annoying. Anyway,
I can see that was a little fuse that just got lit there.
Come on, jeez. But no, for you, have you gone with the standard duo, or have you gone something similar to me?
Well, I have gone with number 12, Damien Delande. Feel like that one pretty much has picked itself. Definitely with Andre Estesen not going to Australia due to that suspension. Yeah. And then number 13. This is where I've gone with Jesse Creel. That's the thing. Now you've got me doubting whether or not Creel is the start in 13.
Unbelievable.
Because you're trying to sell me Lucanio. And to be fair,
I'd probably buy it. He's a different level, man. He's different gravy. That's just, it's...
He's different gravy. That's a sentence that I have never said in my life and probably never will.
That's the UK slang for you right there. It's just different gravy. But
there you go. Do they use that in South Africa? Do they have gravy in South Africa?
Or
is it called something different? Trivia question. Tell you what, that's part 2 of the trivia question.
That's part 2 of the questions in the comments.
But now, of course, we got some skilled players who are going to be in this back 3 for the South Africans. I was going to try and transition with gravy, but it would have felt a bit weird, I would say. So for myself, number 11, I have gone with Kurtley Arendse as that left wing. It's a bit of a tricky one because, of course, Makazole Mapimpi could also be the type of player who could do very well out on that left wing. He actually has done pretty well up against Australia as well in the past, but I've gone with Kurtley Arendse. Number 14, I have gone with Cheslin Colby. Now, I know that he had a bit of an injury, but I believe he is now back to 100%. And if he isn't, then I guess I would definitely have Kurtley Ardensa 14, Makazole Mapimpi as the number 11 if Colby was unavailable. And then number 15, this is where I have gone with the experience of Villy LaRue. It's unfortunate how early he got injured in that second game against the Irish, just because we have no idea what he would have done throughout that game. Of course, we got to see a lot of Sasha and what he was able to do throughout that contest. But yeah, Villy LaRue close out my starting XV.
Yeah, no, I mean, this makes it simple. I've gone with the exact same three as you. I've gone with Curly Lorenza, Justin Kobe, Willie LaRue. So, I mean, it's one of those where I think the one I think who's been hard done by is Makazole Mapimpi, because I think he was outstanding throughout the previous games that he's played. But it's just, you want to see Curly Lorenza and then number 11 jersey, because I mean, he was awesome last year in the Rugby Championship. Like I think he scored like the most tries, if I recall, actually, in the Rugby Championship last year. So, and in that 11 jersey as well. So he's someone which I want to see him back in that jersey. Yeah, Justin Kobe, again, I think he is available for selection, like you said. And yeah, you need that experience off the back in terms of that 15 spots. So yeah, reason why I also went with Willie LaRue.
That is our starting side. Only one difference between us, and it's not exactly a bad one to have either Lukanyuam or Jesse Krill in that starting side. I'd like to think off the bench we've got a few more changes, but I don't think we will have in terms of the front row, unless maybe loose head prop, I would say, is the most likely to be different. But who have you got in that front row for yourself?
Yeah, so off the bench, I'm going with the likes of Malcolm Marks as my replacement hooker. Following that, I've gone with Thomas DeToy and then Vincent Goggs. So yeah, that's my replacement bomb squad right there.
Right, so for myself, I've got Malcolm Marks at number 16. Number 17, I do not have Thomas DeToy. I have gone with Gerhard Stennekamp. And then number 18, Vincent Cox. So just that one change in that number 17 jersey. 6-2 split for yourself, Tim, I assume?
Indeed.
Too easy. So number 19, I've gone with Salman Mora. Number 20, Ben Jason Dixon. And number 21, Elric Lowe. I do think that they'll give him a few minutes throughout this contest. They have got a couple other great options that I didn't even put in, such as a Marco van Staden, such as a Ruin Nokia. Maybe you go with 2 locks off the bench, but yeah, I feel like Elric Lowe, from what I read, it seems like this is the tour that they really want to test him at international level, so it would make sense to have him somewhere amongst the 23-man side.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I like that. I like that a lot. Yes, in terms of my kind of backups here, for the locks, this is actually where I have gone with Ruan Nortier. I believe he's someone, I think I could have gone with more out there, but I want to see Nortier get some game time. I think this is probably a perfect opportunity for him to kind of get his first minutes for the Boks, so that's why he's coming off the bench for me. Following that, this is where I've gone with the likes of Ben Jason Dixon. Again, we've seen him kind of play a few minutes for the Boks throughout that kind of Island series, as well as, I believe, you're going to have to tell me here, did he play in that Portugal game or not? Because I don't think he...
I believe he started at 7.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's the game he started. Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, I mean, my following player is then Marco van Staden. I think, again, he can cover like 6 and 8 positions, so that's the reason why he's my last loose forward.
Alrighty, so a couple changes in that loose forward trio off the bench, as well as the lock replacement there. So that leaves us with just the 2 players now. 22-23 back replacements.
We have the same 2 here.
We do, really, don't we?
It's Grant Williams and Sasha. That's we can. That's the standard 2. And I think now, like when you have a 6-2 split, I think those are the first 2 that come to mind because they're so versatile as well. I mean, if Damon Williamson comes back, then that's when you can consider him, I'd say. But for the meantime, yeah, because again, he could even start actually. Now that you think about it, but yeah, I think for now, Grant Williams and Sasha, I just think are the 2, and yeah, I mean both of them were pretty good, I'd say, throughout the kind of games we saw, particularly Sasha. I mean, he's different. What's great about him is that he's so young as well. He's so young. There's we're gonna have at least 3. We're gonna get I think 3 World Cups out of him. I think at least. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, the benefit that you've got with those 2 is they can cover every single position in that whole backline, which you don't often get with 2 players coming off the bench, and it just opens up so much more opportunity for your 6-2 split, because sometimes, of course, if you have a centre in your back replacement, then you've got to go, what happens if a winger gets injured? Then we haven't really got someone, which I think is also why Kobus Reinhardt might actually find himself with a lot more starting minutes throughout this Rugby Championship, because of the fact that Grant Williams offers wing. Although saying that, you could always pop Grant Williams from 9 to 14 if there was some sort of injury, but overall, I think they're just spoilt for talent at the moment, the Springboks, and it's just about working out what combination is going to find them the most success. But nonetheless, that is going to be the end almost of this video. Of course, we've done 2 trivia questions, so now Tim's going to provide you with the third. Go for it, mate.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you're
on the spot. What's a great South African trivia question you could give?
Okay. I don't know why I'm on this one, but which young player stepped up for the Boks in the 2007 final against the English to do a long kick penalty? I mean, that it should give it away. A long kick penalty in the final. So let me know in the comments, because if you're a true Bok fan, this guy's close to everyone's heart. So yeah, let us know.
There you go, eh? In terms of the rankings of the questions, I feel like the easiest one to answer is definitely, do you have gravy in South Africa? I feel like that's the one that most people should be able to answer overall. But a couple interesting ones in there as well, of course.
Exactly.
But nonetheless, this game, it is going to be taking place in Australia, which Tim pointed out before, just in a little cut, that I still have Sky Stadium behind me, which is in Wellington. I do know that the game is not taking place from there. It's just we're also filming the All Blacks lineup prediction, so be sure to check that out as well. Also, check out Rugbyitch's YouTube channel. The link will be in the comments as well as the description as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. Do let us know your Springboks 23 that you believe Rassie Erasmus will be going with. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we will see you all for the next one.